Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmadu wa nasallu ala rasulihil nabiyil habibil kareem. In the name of the unseen Lord, who has created the entire universe, everyone, everything, every matter, all that which is in the universe, and has imbued in the human beings a sense of compassion, mercy, charity, and all good qualities. And due to evolution and living in this world, man has developed negative qualities. And these negative and positive qualities play in the mind of human beings. But in the process of evolution of man, the man has achieved inner light, wisdom, and enlightenment. Huge knowledge has been accumulated, and in the present times, due to science and technology, man has been able to reach the outer space and planets, besides landing on the satellite of the earth, the moon. We have all the nations of the world have formed the United Nations, and there is a charter which lays down the method by which the international law is required to be accepted and enforced by all the nations. The human rights has been recognized, and all human beings in the world have been considered as equal, and no human being is required to wage war against another human beings on the basis of caste, creed, color, or religion. These human rights are primary, and they have been considered as very sacred, and they have to be imbibed in each and every human being. Now, the clamor for Hindutva has been raised by an organization and whose political wing has been elected to form the government and run the government. The members of this particular ruling party has been very vociferous and debating about enforcing the concept of Hindutva. According to them, Hindutva is all inclusive, and the Abrahamic religion which has entered the Indian continent is exclusive, and they should accept the inclusiveness of Hindutva. They further go to say that the credo of one of the religions of the world, that there is no God but God, that is Allah or Ishwar, is exclusive. They further say that the concept of Hindutva has to be accepted by every individual and citizen of this country. Now, what we are required to examine is whether this concept which they have given is in accordance with the tenets of the religion Hinduism and Vedanta and Vedas. The Vedas and Rig Vedas does not specify or mention about the mythologies, goddesses, and the way in which the god and goddesses and avatars are required to be worshipped. It speaks about the formless God, the unseen God, who hears, who is in the human soul. The light in the human soul is the light of the Supreme Being. This is the concept which is also there in all other religions. But for in other Asian religions, it is also practiced in India. That is Buddhism, Jainism, and Buddhism, Jainism, and also to some extent Sikhism. In Sikhism, Guru is supreme, and they have adopted the Guru Granth as the supreme book, and they call themselves as the people of the book. So also the Abrahamic religions call themselves as a people of the book, thereby to indicate that the followers of the faith of these faiths shall be bound by the rules and regulations and the conduct and morals and the spiritual precepts laid down in these religious books. The concept of Buddhism and Jainism is the concept of capturing your inner soul and reaching the highest aspect of goodness so as to achieve moksha and free yourself from the aspect of rebirths. They prescribe deep meditations, ahimsa, and various other uh, rights, right, right of, right intention, right talk, right speech, right conduct, 8 rights are prescribed in Buddhism. Now, in the after a time, the Vedas and other scriptures of Hindus, those who propounded this, were brought into writing. Vedas were the what was received by the rishis, which was spoken by them to their disciples, and the disciples spoke, and this was not in the written form. When it was written down, it became Vedas. It was in Prakrit, and then it was turned into Sanskrit. And this was a special privileges only of the higher caste who were known as Brahmins. Be that as it may, the most important aspect of the concept of the higher being is that there is Ishwar who is formless, and the Vedas were sacred scriptures, and they were confined to the higher class. Later, after a period of time, the law for the people had to be written down, and it was Rishi Manu who wrote down the Manu Shastra. In this Manu Shastra, the Indians were divided into 4 classes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishnavas, and the Shudras. Those who were not in this, they were outcasts. It is only after the independence that Mahatma Gandhi said that all the Indians have to be brought within the constitution. And the concept of Harijan and Dalit was brought. And the Dalits throughout the ages were considered outside the scope of Hinduism. We have otherwise scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, Dravidians, and those who have been living in the states of Assam, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh. All these people have a different concept of religion. Now, the Brahmanic religion came to India ages ago, and they have been propagating their religion initially peacefully through their preachers, and later their armies came, established their rule, and the rule extended to 700 years in respect of Muslims, and in respect of Christians 250 years. They were from Britain, and they called themselves as British. But in all aspects they were Christians. So we have practically all religions, including the migrant Parsis from Iran, Zoroastrians. So we have umpteen number of minorities. But what constitutes as majority cannot be considered as a majority in the real sense. Because so far as religion is concerned, people have been practicing their superstitions, their customs, their traditions, and their way of life as according to their beliefs. There are Shivites, there are Vaishnavites, and among Brahmins also there are so many sects and subsects. So also among Shivites and Vaishnavites, they have their own mathas and matadipatis, and they have their own idols, and also each Hindu has got a family idol in their own home. The mythologies also are unique and in a vast sense. Now, the right-wing people raised a bogey of building a Ram temple in Ayodhya. Anyway, the matter has been decided in their favor and the construction has started. Now the proponents of Hindutva say that Sri Ram has to be considered as a national hero and all Indians have to accept him. This is a thing which requires very great explanation. Can a human being who was a king of Ayodhya, who forsake his wife Sita, can be considered as a god, avatar, or a national hero? What is a national hero? One who is confined to the nation. But Hinduism is not confined to India alone. There are millions of Indians living all over the world, all over the globe. And are they exclusive of the national hero? They consider him as one of the gods, avatar, one of the avatars. There are avatars in the form of Lord Krishna. There are so many avatars who have come and who keep coming. And there is no end to them. And like saints and Sufis, that these great sages and seers, they will arise in the human evolution of thought. So if you say national hero, are you going to install his photo or his statues in every public place? Should you bring down the image of the idol from the temple to the national hero as a national stadiums and roads and all these places? It cannot be, and I don't think it is the idea also. So if you say Sri Ram is eternal God, who has no form, who has no and who cannot be seen, and he is as good as what you call as Allah or as God, it is acceptable to every person of faith. India has, as a nation, has got even citizens who have no belief in God. They are atheists, agnostics, and people who don't align to any religion. So, can you force upon them the concept of Hindutva as according to the definition given by a section of the right wing people? There are communists, there are socialists. Now, if you say that we are to that every citizen should accept this, then are you going to change the constitution? The constitution has been considered as sacrosanct and it cannot be changed unless the entire people of the country vote in a referendum. Three-fourths of both the sections of the parliament and three-fourths majority of all the legislatures, they have to vote for change of the type of governance we have in the form of democracy. Unless it is done, and all the criminal, civil, company law, international law, and all the laws which were promulgated promulgated by British and accepted by the Parliament to be enforced, all the customary laws which have been accepted to be enforced are abolished. And a new concept and a new rules, regulations are brought into force. But the people who are talking about Hindutva, in the same tongue, talk about accepting the constitution also. If they say that constitution has to remain, then the preamble of the constitution for equality of rights, right to practice any religion, equality between men and women, and various other rights which have been given are required to be accepted. If this be the position, the question of exclusiveness and inclusiveness as spoken and debated does not arise, in my humble opinion. Now, what I want to draw attention to is that this country, from ages, have been influenced by spiritual thoughts of very great masters who are referred to as rishis, sufis, sons, peers. They sat in great penance and achieved very great enlightenment. Then are you going to impose your concept of Hindutva on all these great rishis, on these great sufis and great mystics like Sri Aurobindo, Sri Ramakrishna Parahamsa, Sri Vivekananda, and various other hundreds and thousands of people who have come, Sri Sai Baba, Seta Sai Baba, and all these thousands and thousands of people who propounded their great thoughts, including philosopher Krishnamurti, philosopher S. Radhakrishnan, philosopher Zakir Hussain, scientist Abul Kalam. So we have large number and thousands of scientists, brilliant intellectuals. They may not agree for being asked to be come within the capsule of Hindutva. If you say we want to bring in nationalism, yes, nationalism is already there. We have a national anthem. We have national heroes like Mahatma Gandhi and various other thousands of leaders who fought for freedom, who have laid down their life. If you say we should forget Mughal period and Mughal games, we have already forgotten. There is a new generation, new people, new light has come. If you say we should forget the Brahmic religions, you forget it, it is left to you. But the Constitution gives them the right to practice. If you realize that all the mullahs in all the thousands and lakhs of mosques are saying they should give allegiance to Quran and not to Constitution, it's a misreading. No Maulvi has said so till today, and no such things are being said in any mosque. The mosque doors are open. It's an open yard. Anybody can sit there and hear what he is saying. He is saying if you have recited the Credo, there is only one God, and our prophet is the last among all the prophets who have come on this earth, and the least and the most humble. You have to accept all the books which God has sent down. You have to believe in all the prophets. If you say that Ram and Krishna are also prophets, then every Muslim has to accept him as a prophet. And there are very great Sufis and saints and scholars who have said they are messengers. As Quran itself says that God has sent messengers to every nation. And they have preached unity of people, unity of God, unity of Tawheed. So certainly in terms of the definition given of messengers in the Quran, they are messengers. So what is the problem? Why raise a big racket about it? Now you are saying Muslims are indulging in crime. Well, there are very good laws for anti-terrorism. There are very good courts and judgments and judges. They can be proceeded against those who break the law. It is not necessarily Muslims alone. Any citizen who breaks the law is liable to be punished under the criminal law and all various laws which are there in the country. So if you say we need to change the entire laws, then what type of laws are you going to bring in? How are you going to enforce it? How is the wing of judiciary, executive, taxation, international law, company law, various other laws are going to be enforced? Why rake up the old, 1,000 years old kings who came and invaded? Whether it is Alexander, or whether it is Aryans, or whether it is the Gauri, or it is the tyrannical rule of Aurangzeb or the Tipu Sultan, how are we concerned as a new citizens, new born after the independence? Or those who have born just a decade or before, who are living today? We fought for independence. Those who, before the birth of republic, they will say, we fought for the independence. We did not accept. If this concept is accepted, then we are bound to exclude all the laws which were brought by the British in the light of Christianity, which is Abrahamic religion. Why you are enforcing Indian Penal Code when you had a Hindu Penal Code, Muslim Penal Code, and Muslim contract law, Hindu contract law, Christian contract law? All these laws were there. Why do you accept the criminal laws of the Christians, which were brought as the British legislations by the Queen, through his Queen's Council, to the directors of East India Company? Remove all these laws, remove all this revenue administration, which is of age-old system of revenue administration. We are bringing new concept of taxation, which is not the concept in the Hinduism. You are taxing even the Tirupati Prasadam Laddu. You are asking a barber who has put a AC in a place where the outside temperature is 500 to pay service tax. Service tax is imposed even on baby milk powder, on the baby biscuits. From pin to aeroplane there is taxation. Besides the taxation of income tax and wealth tax and other taxes, export tax and import tax. Now how do you blame a age-old king would impose some sort of a tax in the form of jizya to protect the citizens? They wanted to maintain the unity of the country, and they were marauders and from the various countries, from Afghanistan, Persia, Turkey. So they stood like a solid rock with the support of all the people of India, Rajputs, Sardars, Sikhs, and everyone. They joined in defending any invaders they came. And if the citizens are asked to pay some money in the form of jizya to maintain the huge army which consisted of all the religious people, then why do you blame it today? Oh, jizya was imposed. You are not going into depth of these taxation system which existed then. You justify imposing service tax on even prasadam. You justify imposing the tax on the barbers. And huge taxation is there, huge inflation there, huge poverty is there. And you don't address the problems which are facing the country. Unemployment, huge inflation, corruption. The banks have all been looted. Banks are getting merged, companies are getting merged, billions of dollars are being flown out, and billions of money is going down the drain. Nothing is addressed. Now, what is important for you is Hindutva. What is this Hindutva? Has to be explained explicitly. And this should not come in the way of the unity, brotherhood, and peace of the country. We are all living in the same form in which any person who practices any religion. We have the same type of dress, we have the same type of living, we have the same type of food, we have the same hotels, we have the same entertainment industry, we have the same actor and actresses playing on the stage of this world. So, what is this special? Are you going to impose on each individual a particular mark, caste mark? The entire southern region is governed by the Dravidians. Are you going to impose the Aryan religion on them? And they say, no, we don't want it. They have already explicitly said so from ages that we are not going to accept. We have our own god and goddesses. We have our own way of life. We have our own Tirukural who has given us the moral code. Now, how are you going to address this situation? When the right wing says, no, Hindutva is inclusive and it is not exclusive like the Abrahamic religion that they should be set out, and you misrepresent the credo of La ilaha illallah, and that is nothing but what the Vedas have said. It is Vedic interpretation. There was no Ram in the Makkah, but only the yardstick has been given. But all virtuous people who have come to every nation who have preached righteousness are messengers of God. That is sufficient to accept if he has done a righteous deeds and called upon humanity to follow righteous deeds. But I must give a caution here. The caution is that Mahatma Gandhi in his autobiography, Experiments of Truth, has explicitly said that I do not recognize the Ram of Ayodhya as God, because he was a mere human being who has forsaken Sita and tarnished the image of Indian womanhood. He says, I believe in that Ram who is Ishwar, who is in the heaven, who is unseen and who is formless. So the concept of formless God is the concept in Vedas, in the Rishis. Even to this day, all these sadhus, sons who are sitting in meditation, their interviews have been uploaded in YouTube, including the interviews of all the great Shankaracharyas and others. They have clearly said that God is formless and he cannot be idealized. So this concept of Hindutva should not be vociferously and rigorously debated. It should be spoken in a sober tone without raising passions, emotions, and it has to, when you say it is inclusive, take the whole international community into consideration, because we are following international law, we are a part of international community, we are signatories to the human rights, we are a member of the UNO and various international bodies. We are having billions of rupees of trade, both exports and imports. We have borrowed billions of rupees from foreign countries. 30% of our budget goes for military, 30% goes for the servicing of debts. We need more and more money to come in the form of debt or in investment. We need all our citizens, Indian citizens, have gone to various countries, all the countries of the world. For generations they are living there, practicing the Hindu faith. No, you should not embarrass the international community and the Indians living in all the countries of the world speak in a tone, in a language which is acceptable to all. Let us sing the songs of unity and brotherhood and love. Love is the greatest. Love is the God. Love is the most beautiful flowers in the garden of life. What prevents us to open our hearts to everyone? Now, if you say all Muslims have become Hindus, now you tell and Christians and Buddhists and the Jains and the Sikhs, now specify which God I should follow? All gods. It cannot be. There is one formless God who has created the universe. I follow him. You say you should not follow your book. Why? No, because your book says kill the kafirs. There is no such thing. It's a misinterpretation. And if it is there, we'll expel it. Specifically, we all our ulmas of the world have said it is wrong. There is no such concept. And if that is concept, it should not be practiced. It is banned. It has been banned. You say they are having they create too many children. They produce too many children. Who said? Our Prophet said you do halala. Probably you are not aware of that particular, not halal, I'm sorry. The word is anzal. That is coitus interruptus. There is a very clear specific ruling to not have more children. You have sexual relation with coitus interruptus. So, if some very strict Maulvis have come and said something else other than what is stated, you have to clarify it and show them the real thing which is there in the book. It is a religion which is compassionate and enforcing. And you say it is not a religion, it is a war. These warmongers were the kings who had the harem and all those things. How they can call themselves the followers of the Prophet? Akbar denounced Islam. He created his own religion, Deen-e-Ilahi, and banned Islam and locked all the mosques. And he said everyone should full clean shaven and nobody should sacrifice animals. It was all banned. So such type of things have come and gone. Are you going to accept that philosophy of what Deen-e-Ilahi today? No, you are not going to accept. So likewise, if the exponents of Hindutva is vociferous in their demand, let them spell out to the international community, to all the Indians living in all the countries of the world, and to all the people of the world, what they mean specifically in terms of law, jurisprudence, and constitution. If they say we change the constitution, we change the form of worship, we change the way of language, we change the dress, everything, then spell out how we are going to implement it. Let there be an referendum to the entire nation. In the elections, only 30% have voted. In that you have received, out of 30%, only about 30% of 30%. And you have formed the government. How you can say your opinion is the opinion of the 100 million people of the country? It cannot be so. A simple arithmetical calculation would show that the Indian Hindu population you are talking about is, it could be only 60% or even less. You may ask me how. 20% you admit as per the census are Muslims. You say 8 to 10% are Christians. 30% are gone here. What is the population of Jains, Buddhists and Sikhs? Another 10%, 40% is gone. Now what is the population of the Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, tribals, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and Shudras and Dravidians who don't accept the Brahminical way and Brahmins and Brahmin Vedas? You put them, what is your this one? And how many are now in your left-wing organization? You take their population and compare it to the population of 100 million, it may not be even 1 crore. So, a organization of in a higher estimate 1 crore, can they enforce their philosophy on the entire country? It will be like a communist country who swept over the Russia and formed USSR, capturing 72 countries, enforcing it in all the countries of the world. which the democratic countries opposed tooth and nail. Now, with regard to the partition of the country, probably you have not gone through the entire history. It is not Jinnah and Gandhi and Nehru. It is the British and the American, General Eisenhower and Churchill, who decided we should have a buffer state to counter the communists. They foresaw that the Russians will occupy Afghanistan and it will be the turn of India also. And we have our investments here. And there were a lot of communists. And Gandhi and Nehru were speaking in terms of socialism and moving more towards Russia. So that's why they said we should have a buffer state where we will have our writ. And they had the writ. It is they who they gave the weapons, the patent tanks and the F-12 aeroplanes, fighter jets, and they instigated Ayub Khan to wage war. And they wanted a buffer state so that they can counter the Chinese and the Russians. And it is when the Afghanistan was captured by the Russians, the refugees were kept in camp, they were trained, they were called Taliban students, they were given weapons, they were supported by the American army, and they were made to fight. So you don't go into the history. You blame Jinnah and Gandhi. No, it's not Jinnah and Gandhi. Please go in detail with all the records of the partition and how the negotiation has taken place. I can suggest one book where this aspect of the buffer state it was discussed in forms of letters and conversations with General Eisenhower and all after the Second World War, seeing the way in which the Nazis have behaved and the Japanese have behaved and how the communists are behaving and how they would behave. They foresaw all that and said, no, we need to counter. If any such action takes place in India, if they turn into communist or a total socialist, it will affect our democracy. It will affect our investments. We have billions of rupees invested and we want to invest more. We have our wealth here. We have our culture here. We have our people here. So Stanley Wofford's in the biography of Jinnah has brought out all these aspects. Maybe hundreds of other books are also written by Indian scholars and historians. This is the thing which I have noticed from my own study, that it is not the clamor of Muslim League alone. It came only after 1935, after the experiment of a joint common platform of Muslim in Congress to form party was a failure. And there were riots when the division of Bengal took place. It was the cunningness of the British. They wanted to divide the Bengal. There was no clamor. They divided it. They divided the Punjab and East Punjab and West Punjab. This is all the game of the superpowers. Now, why blame Jinnah? When the Nehru said, no, we can't both of us govern together, and you hear his interviews which are there on YouTube, he has clearly spelled out, well, let the hand which gives pain be cut off, which Sardar Patel agreed. You see his interviews, see his all these things which he said, let us put an end to this, let them have it. Gandhi agreed. It will be eternal problem will be there in governing because they took finance and they came in the way of the administration in not sanctioning any funds. So they decided be done with it, but they did not expect the catastrophe leading to billions of millions of people dying and displacing, which is a great tragedy. You know, the tragedy is over. Now your Kashmir problem, it is not created by the Indian Muslim. It is the Indian government did it. Why did you agree for a separate constitution, a separate status, a separate flag, a separate way they could have? No, that was not a thing which should have been done. The integration should have taken at the time of independence. It is not the fault of the Indian Muslims and you blame the Indian Muslim, more particularly South Indians. How are we South Indians Muslim responsible? It is, if at all we blame, we can blame the UP Muslim, but they are also innocent. See, if you read the Queen's, the East India the Commission which was formed in 1980 to submit the report on the India, the Commission clearly stated that East India Company and the British government has removed the higher class, ruling class and the middle classes of Muslims. Now, after independence, they are completely washed out. Who are remaining? Only the lower caste of Muslims, cobblers, barbers, road sellers, sellers of wares. So they are very small, petty people who are living. They are all people who have no knowledge, no education, totally backward. Why do you blame if someone has shouted something in the street? A green flag does not represent Pakistan. You say is flown every. See, this type of talk should not be there. They are very poor people, extremely poor. They don't have lands, they don't have banks, they are not in civil service, they are not in military, they are not in police, they are not in government. So why this clamor? You have all the power, the military is with you, the, the military is with you, the police is with you, the banks are with you, the economy is with you, the industry is with you, the civil service with you. Now what is the fear? Why are you creating an imaginary fear that Muslims will destroy the country? Where is all this? Is a joke. There cannot be a bigger joke than that. The communal clashes were not they have not created communal clashes and killed hundreds and thousands of people. It is the other way around. Anyway, let us not go into that aspect. Let us talk about the unity in the country, love and affection. Let us unite the hearts and let us pray together. Let there be a mutual prayer place where all the Indians will join together and pray, irrespective of your respective prayer houses, temples, mosques, synagogues, gurudwaras, you go there. But if you talk in the terms of nationalism and Hindutva, then let us have a joint, huge prayer halls where we all join together and sing together the hymns of the Lord in His praise. And with this hope, I close my talk and thank all those who hear this, and I wish you everyone a good luck in this matter. Let all of us unite, Sufis, Sons, communists, socialists, Advaitis, agnostics, atheists, everyone. Indian is an Indian. Let us not talk in terms of divisions of Hindutva, Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism. Let us talk as Indian, as a secular person. Private life, you have your own practices. Whatever customary law which is not repugnant to the Indian laws which the constitution and the laws agree, you don't object them to do it. Don't force them to come to your festivals and you don't go into their festival if you don't want to. That is a private matter. Thank you very much.